Hello and welcome to our session today on tips for teaching birth defects and disorders content. We know students in healthcare and education need to have a solid foundational knowledge of human growth and development across the lifespan. Teaching about birth defects and disorders is really an important piece of this knowledge. So ensuring students understand what common birth defects and disorders are and the implications that they have as individuals is really key for your students. So in this webinar today, you're going to get ideas for engaging today's students in this really difficult topic and hopefully tools and sources for creating those aha moments that your students are going to remember. So we're going to begin by explaining why this information is so important. And we're going to share many different links to free resources and information. We're also going to be giving you some tips for teaching, some lesson plans, and so forth. And then we're going to share some brand new Realityworks interactive tools and models. And then we're going to finish up today with some more free resources to share with you. So why is this important foundational knowledge? Well, depending on the focus of your pathway and course, it's important to understand birth defects and disorders. So if you are a FACS teacher and teach human growth and development over the lifespan, National Standard 12.2 includes this. If you look at the building blocks to human development, this knowledge is part of the health foundational block on the bottom, but it also impacts most of the items above as well as development continues, such as physical, social, and emotional health, and sometimes even language and cognitive development, depending on the condition. Similarly, if you're a FACS teacher with an education and training pathway or early childhood program, understanding the impact that birth defects and disorders have as the child develops is included in National FACS Standard 4.2. As a teacher or worker with young children, it's really important to have this knowledge in order to plan developmentally appropriate education. Now, here are just a few of the FACS-related pathways that need to know about birth defects and disorders, and they fall under the human service and education and training career clusters. Jobs such as social workers, teachers. There's so many out there that really need to have this information if they're interested in these types of occupational areas. Now, if you happen to teach courses within the health science career cluster, a National Standard 1.2 covers the importance of knowledge, including etiology, pathology, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of common diseases and disorders, which includes common birth defects and conditions. Here are just a few of the health science pathways that need to know about birth defects and disorders more specifically. Things like genetic counselors, nurses, physicians, midwives. In fact, anybody that is patient focused or interacts with patients at some point in their career really could find this knowledge helpful, because you may have a patient with a condition or disorder someday that you're working with. So in this next part, we would like to share some sources of information that you can go to on birth defects and disorders. Now, there are really many more out there than the ones we're going to share, but we felt that these would create a really good starting point for you. So here are some national organizations and some sources to go to for information on birth defects and disorders. The first one is called the National Birth Defect Prevention Network, and it's a volunteer-based organization that addresses the issues of birth defects through surveillance and research and prevention under kind of one umbrella by maintaining a national network of state and population-based birth defect programs. The second one is called the Society for Birth Defect Research and Prevention, and their mission is to understand the cause and pathogenesis of disorders and developmental and reproductive origin to prevent their occurrence and also improve outcomes through research, collaboration, communication, and education. The third one is, of course, probably one of the best known, the World Health Organization. And this website has information on key facts, prevention, and also screening for birth defects. The March of Dimes mission is to lead the fight for the health of all moms and babies. And their goal is to end the preventable maternal health risks and death, end preventable preterm birth and infant death, and also to close the health equity gap. And then the last one on this page that we wanted to share was the Birth Defect Research for Children organization. And this one provides parents and expectant parents with information about birth defects and also support services for their children. Now, here are some of the most common defects, disorders, and conditions that are seen. And most, if not all of them, have organizations that are dedicated solely to that condition. And we are going to take a look at some of the places to go for information and resources that you can use with your students. So the first one we want to highlight is Down syndrome. And the first organization is the National Association for Down Syndrome. And on their resources tab, they have facts, research, and skills development resources all about Down syndrome. The second group is the Down Syndrome International. And this group also has an education branch. We found this site to have a wealth of all types of information for new parents and all stages of life. And they include videos that highlight each stage of life. So if you're looking for some short videos, these may be very impactful ones that you could share with your students. The third group is the National Down Syndrome Society, and they are the leading human rights organization for all individuals with Down syndrome. And they really envision a world in which all people with Down syndrome have the opportunity to enhance their quality of life, realize their life aspirations, and really become valued members of welcoming communities. And this website just has all sorts of resources and support information available regarding Down syndrome. Now, for cleft lip and cleft palate, Operation Smile treats patients and creates solutions that deliver safe surgery to people where they need it the most. And we think that this would make a really great organization to donate to or to use as a service project. This organization has a students page, and it includes activities and ways to become involved. The next group is called Smile Train, and they're also a really wonderful organization. They're the largest cleft-focused organization with a true model of sustainability. And this group provides training, funding, and resources to empower local medical professionals in over 70 countries. They provide 100% free cleft palate surgery and cleft care in their own communities. And this website will showcase stories, and they have many different ways to become involved. The third one is called the Cleft Prevention International Association. And the purpose of this group is to prevent cleft lip and palate anomalies. And cleft lip and palate are the second most common birth defect and the first most common and serious anomaly of the face and mouth. And these affect about 230,000 newborns in the world every year. And if you go to this information, this website, there's just a lot of information there that's very helpful. Congenital heart defects. The first group is called Children's Heart Link. And on their website, they say, we build local level capacity for pediatric cardiac care through long-term partnerships and robust monitoring. They optimize patient care using education and train the trainer model. So that might be a good one to go to for information on heart defects. The next one, the American Heart Association, has a specific page on their website dedicated to tetralogy of Fallot, and that is a very common infant congenital heart defect. And then the third organization, called the National Organization for Rare Disorders, includes congenital heart defects among many other rare disorders. And they say that they're committed to the identification, treatment, and cure of rare disorders through programs of education, advocacy, research, and patient services. If you're looking for more information on Clubfoot, Hope Walks is a very large provider of Clubfoot care, and they pair the quality Clubfoot treatment with compassionate care from Clubfoot clinic parent advisors, while empowering local healthcare workers and also educating parents and caregivers. They really have a lot of information on this condition and also what you can do for it. The Global Clubfoot Initiative is a collaborative group of organizations and individuals, but their common objective is to help eliminate physical impairment resulting from untreated clubfoot. And they have a certain method that's their primary treatment method that they talk about there. And then the third one we wanted to share was the Clubfoot Research Foundation. And this group will work to ensure the creation of genetic therapies for an extremely varied genetic disorder to address the root cause of the disease. And they share information and research with the CDC and national healthcare systems, but their education efforts work to ensure that patients and caregivers develop a better understanding of the diagnosis and therapy options available for them. Now, here are some other focus conditions that we wanted to point out. First of all, is the Spina Bifida Association, and they're dedicated to helping healthcare providers and parents, caregivers, and others. They want to help people live longer, healthier lives through research, education and support, clinical care, network building, and advocacy. So a great source to go to. Next is the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and their mission is to cure cystic fibrosis and to provide all people with CF the opportunity to live long, fulfilling lives by funding research and drug development, and then partnering with the community and advancing high-quality specialized care. So if you go out to their website, it's just loaded with information on the condition. And then the third one is Shriners International, and this is an organization where you can find data and research on many children's health issues, and they have been around since 1922. They've got their own Shriners Children division, but it's now the largest pediatric subspecialty healthcare system in the world. So again, a great place to go to for all sorts of information. So now that you know where you can go to find information, here are a few considerations for using this information with your students. Here's a chart that I found that I thought was a really great descriptive comparison by generation and learning preferences. And we feel that by knowing how each generation prefers to learn, we can adjust the way we teach. And Generation Z prefers visual and interactive, bite-sized, and hands-on learning. So knowing that, let's look at a few ways that we can engage our Generation Z students. First of all, January is National Birth Defect Awareness Month. And it's a time to raise awareness about birth defects and highlight efforts to improve the health of people living with the conditions across the lifespan. So you could join a nationwide effort to help raise awareness of all sorts of birth defects and the impact on individuals, parents, and families. So many organizations have special events in the month of January to raise awareness. And if you're interested in doing something around this, the CDC has social media resources that are ready to use. And then the National Birth Defect Prevention Network also has an interactive tips resource map and a toolkit that has a lot of free resources. So one tip that for using an event like this with your Generation Z students is that you could use it and you could have them promote it. So you could have them promote it via a social media platform of their choice. You could have them design an infographic to share regarding the event. So this gets them using technology, social media, and it makes it more hands-on and engaging in a way that would be very attractive to them. There is also a World Birth Defect Day every March 3rd. And at the link above, there's a toolkit, and it provides many resources that can be used in the classroom. World Birth Defect Day is always on March 3rd every year, and it unites people and organizations working in the field of birth defects. Sometimes these are also known as congenital anomalies, congenital disorders, or congenital conditions. No matter what you want to call it, there are many different types of conditions, and this day will collectively raise the voice and raise awareness for all of them. So if you look closer at the toolkit, it has many different suggested activities. One suggestion is to have your students write an article or a blog for a local newspaper, magazine, or even an online resource. You could have each student choose a different birth defect to write about, and then part of their article or blog could be that they try to find an individual to highlight with that condition, if possible, that they could interview. But there's many, many different ways that you could also spin something like this as well. We know that videos are a terrific tool to use with Generation Z. And there are specific short explainer videos that are really a good tool with Gen Z. And here are 5 different specific benefits for using these types of videos. First of all, they have a short attention span. So these concise videos are a good way to reach out to students to help them learn. It offers really an ease of accessibility and mobility to information. The visual learning opportunities are great. Sometimes the increased simplicity that videos provide helps students understand the content better. And it's just a really easy way to provide a variety of information in a way. And it's also easy to keep that content updated by only using recent videos. So videos are terrific. And we have some suggested ones here. And this is just a brief selection of available videos that you can access on a wide variety of birth disorders and conditions. And each of these is not real long in length, so very easy to use in your classroom, and they're all free. You could do a mini unit featuring one condition each day of the week. You could even set up a variety of birth disorder and conditions stations around the room. And then at each station, showcase a short informational video. And then if you have a model or some type of hands-on activity to pair with that video, that can make for a very engaging way to teach this content to your students. Now we know that Generation Z students like video games. So to help your students remember the content, you could turn this topic into a Jeopardy type of competition or a game. There are many different free templates available to create these types of games from. So here's just one that I found, but if you Google something like, Jeopardy template, you'll find many, many out there that you could use. But we know students are competitive, they love to gamify things. So this could be a really helpful way for them to learn the content and some of the facts that you'd like them to know. And if you're interested in finding more free tools to use to create interactive experiences for your students on the topic, here are 4 highly recommended tools that are out there. There are many, many more, but here's just a few we thought we would share with you today. And there's one called Quizlet, and this could easily be turned into a flashcard deck on the content on birth defects for independent practice. There's something called Flipgrid, and you could use one of the videos we had in a prior slide in this app, and it's really strong at facilitating discussions. There's something called Kahoot. Many of you probably use this already, but you could use a Kahoot to create a trivia type of game that could be played in small groups or even class-wide. And then the 4th one's called Newsify. And you could use this app to have your students create a blog or a newspaper centered around a specific birth defect or disorder with pictures and facts to share. And an app like this could really work well for the National or International Birth Defect Awareness Day event that we shared earlier. Here are some free lesson plan sources that we'd like to point out. The first lesson is from the CDC, and in this lesson, your students take on the role of epidemiologists, and they investigate mystery birth defects occurring around their city or town. So your students form groups, then they research, and then they present the information about various birth defects and developmental disabilities to their peers. So in the process, they're learning about possible causes, treatments, and prevention methods for these birth-related conditions. So if you go to this link, it's 24 pages, and it includes all sorts of handouts and activities. So this was just a really hidden gem that's worth checking out. The second link, the Birth Defects Know the Signs, can be found on the website familyconsumersciences.com. And students use the birth defect information packet provided about common birth defects to solve the birth defect scenarios. And we found this to be a really engaging activity to share. The third lesson plan is called Birth Defects, and it's provided by the Utah Education Network. This lesson discusses problem pregnancies and birth defects. Now, students need to understand that not all problem pregnancies will result in birth defects. The lesson's not meant to scare students, but just to make them more knowledgeable about pregnancy and the things they can do to increase chances of having a healthy baby. And everything you need is included: handouts, slide presentations, and instructions. Now, the fourth link is kind of a different take on the topic, and this is a story about thalidomide, which is from the Retro Report in the Classroom, and it includes a 12-minute video, and it chronicles how thalidomide, once prescribed to pregnant women, and it was meant to combat morning sickness, but it was later tied to a wave of really devastating birth defects. And this led the federal government to enact a process for drug approval. So this 12-minute video documents how President Kennedy used this specific crisis created by thalidomide to expand regulatory control over the pharmaceutical industry. And something like this could be used to initiate a discussion on how public policy is made. So the lesson plan that comes with it includes the use of this video, and also many discussion questions are provided, as well as more background information. So that can be a really interesting take on this topic. So at this time, we're going to share some information on Realityworks tools and models for teaching about birth defect and disorder content. So the first one is a brand new set of models from Realityworks. We are calling it our birth defects and disorder model set. In this set, there are actually 3 different models. There is a birth defect baby, there is a Down syndrome baby, and then there is a tetralogy of Fetal congenital heart model. And all of these can be put into the storage container that you see when you're not using them for storage. But among the 3 different models, students will learn about 6 different birth defects and disorders as a part of this model set. So we have the Down syndrome baby, which is has a lesson and a baby dedicated just to that. Our birth defect baby has spina bifida, cleft lip, anencephaly, and clubfoot, and there's a lesson that covers all of those 4. And then we have a separate model that's an oversized heart model called tetralogy of Fallot. And as instructors, when they use this oversized model, can help your students really understand all the things that are going on in an infant's heart in that condition. And we also have a lesson dedicated specifically to that condition. So how can you use this model set in your classroom? Well, we know that Generation Z prefers visual hands-on learning. So you can put these models in the hands of your students so that they can see each condition you're talking about. And because it's supplemental, it can easily be included in any class or course. You can pick and choose from lessons. You can go as deep as you like with the time that you have. You, again, could set up a series of stations around the room. You could have your Down syndrome station, tetralogy of the heart station, and a general birth defect station. And each station could have a model, suggested video, and information from different sources along with an activity. So there's no set of models like this. It's completely unique, and we're very proud to be able to offer this as a brand new hands-on resource for teachers and students. A little bit closer look at the curricula. There are 3 hours of teaching time. Each of the lessons is approximately an hour, but you can pick and choose how deep you want to go given the time that you've got. Each of the lessons includes lecture notes, PowerPoint slides, assessments built in, a certificate of completion handout. So everything you need for the lesson is there for you. And here's a closer look at a typical lesson. We identify always the teaching time each portion of the lesson will take. We've got the slide presentations, and it says slide by slide. It will give you lecture notes that go with the slide, and then it will always identify when you should use the models during the lesson. So it made it very easy and intuitive. Now, another model that we have, fetal alcohol syndrome baby. Many of you might be familiar with this and may, in fact, already have it, but it is something, again, that works great with the prior model set that I just shared. If you have this baby, it could be set up in conjunction with the birth defects and disorder model set. If you're having stations around the room, it also has a curriculum and lesson plans dedicated to it that you can use as well. So just a good reminder that we have this model and it works well in a unit on this content. Similarly, we have a drug-affected baby, and we know that exposure to certain substances during pregnancy can result in birth defects and congenital disabilities as well. And our birth defect baby, or I'm sorry, our drug-affected baby is really a powerful demonstrator because it has the cry of a drug-addicted baby and those withdrawal tremors. So when you put this in the hands of students, they are going to see this, it doesn't look healthy. They're going to hear the cry. They're going to feel the tremors, and it's really engaging multiple senses. And again, it's something they're going to remember because it's very difficult to hold on to this baby and see the pain that it's in. And this particular one comes with 2 different lessons. So those are a few of the models we have, and I'm going to share and wrap up with just a few more free resources that we would like to point out to you today. And the first one is that we have webinars all year long. And just like the webinar you signed up for today, they are free. So you can go out to our website, you can look at the upcoming live webinars, but you can also go to the archived portion under Health Science and Family and Consumer Science and find many, there's dozens of past webinars that are also archived for your viewing pleasure. Next, we have some free infographics on health and facts-related careers that you can print and post. If you go out to that link, you will find all of them, and there's instructions with how to print them and so forth. And then another set of free items is our free career exploration units. And we have the units that we have that most closely align with birth defect and disorder content probably are those with human services, health science, and family and consumer science. Each of those buttons that you see there have 5 lessons. So there are a total of 15 different career exploration lessons available to you. And you can go out and check them out and certainly augment what you're doing for career exploration in your program. And then one more area where we like to be very engaging is in social media. We do have a Realityworks blog, and we frequently have brand new content, dynamic content, any new product launches, lesson plans and activities. We have guest writers frequently, so a great place to go and check things out. And then we also like to be busy and engaged on social media. So places like Facebook and Twitter will frequently feature Realityworks products and lessons and activities. And we love it when instructors will share some of their own best practices and classroom ideas. So we would like to thank you for spending time with us today. And we hope that we have shared some information that you will use in your classroom and make it more engaging to teach all about birth defects and disorders. Thank you.